products, and we can compare how we're doing in customer popularity with how they're doing, sometimes by looking at revenue. Sometimes that doesn't work, but I think it's typical to know what our revenue is.
Do you generally make public comments about the financial health or welfare of Microsoft's competitors?
I'm often asked about various companies, and I respond to questions, but I've never given a presentation that had that focus.
Do you recall making public statements in mid-1996 calling into question Netscape's financial viability?
I may have been asked questions about that by the press, but I didn't go out and make any speeches or statements about it.
It's in the article section. I'd like to mark as Exhibit 353, 355, I'm sorry, 355, copy of an article that appeared in the Financial Times of London dated July 3, 1996. Next to the last page of Exhibit 356, there appears the following, quote, "Our business model works even if all internet software is free," says Mr. Gates. "We are still selling operating systems. Netscape, in contrast, is dependent upon its internet software for profits," he points out. Do you recall making statements to this effect to the London Financial Times in or about July 1996?
I'm quite sure I didn't make a statement. I think I was interviewed by Louise Keogh, where she kept saying to me how various people were predicting, including Netscape, that we'd go out of business because of the internet, and that we were doomed because of the internet.
Do you recall, about July 1996, providing the information attributed to you here to the reporter for the London Financial Times?
I don't know what you mean, providing the information. Louise Keogh is a reporter. She interviewed me about this time with the proposition that we were on our way out of business. And I said to her, if we didn't do a good job for our customers in terms of what they wanted, that would be the case. But that we thought we could do good work around the new scenarios that customers were interested in.
Strike the answer as non-responsive.
Recall, Mr. Gates, giving the quotation imputed to you here to Ms. Keogh?
Well, I don't recall the specific interview. It'd be valuable to understand what her questions were and what the sequence of questions were. She probably has a tape of that you could get.
Do you have any reason to believe that she hasn't accurately quoted you here in her article?
I know it was an interview where the basic supposition was that Netscape and others were going to put us out of business. That much I recall. But in terms of the specific quote, I'm not sure.
When you say you're not sure, you mean strike that. Do you have any reason, as you sit here today, to believe that this statement attributed to you is improperly reported by Ms. Keogh?
I think if you want to understand what I said in the interview with her, you should get the transcript of it and understand what series of questions, what the context was for anything that I said.
So do you deny making a statement attributed to you here?
I think it was in the context of some fairly aggressive questions about, was my company going to go out of business in the near future? And I think it's valuable to know that context whenever you look at an answer somebody gives to a question.
Can you answer my question, yes or no? We'll get the question back to him, please.
Sir, do you deny making a statement attributed to you?
I'm not denying making a statement, but I am pointing out that I didn't just make a statement. I was in an interview with a reporter, and it'd be valuable to understand her questions. And I do recall the general tenor of those questions. And so if your interest is understanding the quote, understanding that context is, I think, quite valuable.
You understood, did you not, Mr. Gates, that people interested in the computer business followed very carefully what it was you said about the future of the business?
That's quite a vague question.
No, you've appeared on covers of various magazines, correct?
My picture has.
Right. And is it not your understanding that many newspaper reporters and financial analysts are very interested in getting your views on future developments in the computer business?
I've never done anything that would give me any measurement of that.
You have no understanding whatsoever?
I know I've been interviewed a lot of times. I mean, when you say popularity, help me understand what sort of answer you want. Do you want a number?
Did you understand, sir, that when you made statements like this about Netscape, it had the potential to affect Netscape's stock price?
I've told you several times that I object to your using the word statement to refer to the interview.
When you gave quotations like this to the financial analysts and reporters, you understood, did you not, that statements like this could have a negative impact on Netscape's stock price?
I participated in an interview with Louise Keough, and I explained why her basic proposition that we were going to go out of business soon wasn't necessarily the case. And so the focus of the interview was certainly on Microsoft and our future, our lack of a future. She's not a financial analyst, she's a reporter.
Move to strike it. Would you read the question to him again, and I'll ask you to answer the question, Mr. Gates.
When you gave quotations like this to financial analysts and reporters, you understood that the statements like this could have a negative impact on Netscape's stock price?
I don't know what you mean, quotations like this.
When you gave this particular quotation to Ms. Keough, did you consider that it might have a negative impact on Netscape's stock price?
That certainly was not in any way a consideration of my defending Microsoft in this particular interview.
Did you understand, sir, that application vendors would be less likely to write applications for a browser marketed by a company that did not have long-term prospect for financial viability?
I've been quoted many times as talking about Netscape as a company that has a good future, and when I've been directly asked about that, I've said that they're in an exciting field and have lots of opportunity.
To move to strike, the answer is non-responsive. Do you recall any other statements, strike the word statement since you don't like it, do you recall any other quotations attributed to you, Mr. Gates, in the press with respect to your views of Netscape's financial viability?
Well, I was at MIT and meeting with the W3C people, and I spoke in front of some students, and a student asked what would I think about him going and taking a job at Netscape, and I said I thought that'd be an interesting thing, and that Netscape had a lot of opportunities, and I subsequently saw that quoted in the press. So I remember that as one example.
Anything else?
I don't recall any other specific times when I was questioned about Netscape.
Recall making statements to the press to the effect that Microsoft did not need to make any revenue from its internet software to be successful as a company?
I don't know what you mean. You see, I'm not sure what you mean by internet software. What, if of our products, could you designate for me which ones you mean as being internet software?
The mark is Exhibit 357, 356. Oh, it's off. The mark is Exhibit 356, copy of a story from Businessweek, dated July 15th, 1996. Exhibit 356 on the second page contains the following statement, quote, which is attributed to you. One thing to remember about Microsoft, says Chairman William H. Gates III, we don't need to make any revenue from Internet software. Can you tell me what you had in mind there when you referred to Internet software?
Objection, Foundation.
So what was the question?
Now, let me withdraw the question and ask, do you have any reason to doubt that you made a statement to this effect to a Business Week reporter?
I'm pretty sure I wasn't interviewed by Business Week for this article. I think it's an indirect quote of some kind.
Do you recall publicly stating that one thing to remember about Microsoft was that it didn't need to make any revenue from Internet software?
As I told you earlier, I never commented on Netscape or their prospects in a speech or a statement. The only time where that ever came up, I'm quite sure, is when reporters would push on the fact that maybe Microsoft was about to be put out of business by the Internet and various things going on relative to the Internet. So there was no statement like that. There may have been an answer along those lines, but I don't think I can recall specifically.
Do you have any reason to doubt that the quotation attributed to you is accurate?
I think there's something strange because I'm pretty sure I wasn't interviewed for this article. I've never been interviewed by Robert Hoff, who's the author, and I think I'd remember if I'd been interviewed for this article.
Did you believe that the Internet threatened to put Microsoft out of business?
There are a lot of things, including the move to the Internet, that if Microsoft doesn't do a lot of innovative work, means that our revenue will drop to zero.
Did you ever come to the point where you seriously reached the conclusion that Microsoft is likely to be put out of business by the Internet?
Our risk of being put out of business has been a constant feeling for me ever since we've been in business.
The Business Week article that we've been looking at says that Microsoft's expected fiscal 1996 sales were on the order of $8.6 billion with $2 billion in after-tax profits. Is that approximately correct?
I'm not sure there's a lot of ways to get those figures.
Do you have any understanding what Microsoft's 1996 revenues were?
No.
Do you have any estimate, as you sit here today, as to what Microsoft's after-tax profits were in 1996?
No.
Were they on the order of $2 billion approximately?
I told you I don't know.
Do you have no way of estimating what they were? Strike the question. What's your best estimate of what the Microsoft's after-tax profits were in fiscal year 1996?
I don't think it's good to guess because it'd be very easy to go get the real figure.
And you'd have to guess, is that right?
If you don't let me go get the real figure, then I would have to guess. But if you give me a few minutes, I can go get the real figure. So if you're at all interested in the facts, just give me a few minutes and I'll go get it.
Go ahead, go get it.
Okay?
Take a break.
The time is 2:23. We are going off the record. This is the end of tape 2 of the deposition of Bill Gates.